A few thoughts. First, Margaret, first and foremost, an absolute tragedy, and our hearts break for and our prayers are with the family, number one. Number two, and importantly, as a prosecutor, having prosecuted violent crime and other crimes for 12 years, one individual is responsible for the murder, and that is the murderer.
America, that man didn't fumble his words. He wrote down and read from a script that was wrote before the cameras were even on. A nursing student dead, killed by somebody who entered the country illegally, who shouldn't even be here. And a person running America's borders came with prepared answers. But those families had no number to call because Biden made sure that they shut down the one office in the entire federal government that existed specifically to answer when they did call. And they replaced it with the line where illegal aliens could call and report complaints about ICE. That's not a mistake. That is what they chose.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Megan was a mother. She had kids. She was planning to go back to school and eventually start her own business. She had her whole future mapped out. On April 10th, 2025, her remains were found in a garbage can behind a home in a suburb of Chicago. The garbage can belonged to Luis Mendoza Gonzalez, a 52-year-old Mexican national with no legal right to be in the United States. He had hidden her inside a storage container filled with bleach. Her phone was smashed. She had been dead for months before her family even knew. When Mendoza Gonzalez appeared before a judge, the judge released him that same day. Illinois Safety Act, we talked about it quite a bit on this channel, which abolished cash bail, meant his charges concealing a death, obstruction of justice were not detainable offenses under state law. He walked out of that courtroom back to his house, the crime scene, I might add. Illinois is a sanctuary state. His immigration status couldn't be raised as grounds to hold him either. Jennifer Bos, Megan's mother, stood there and watch him leave that courtroom. State lawmakers who personally got involved in the case, who helped Jennifer share her Facebook post when she was still desperately looking for Megan, is now pushing legislation to make sure that no other family lives like this. Watch what he said about the day Mendoza Gonzalez walked out.
Without knowing what happened or how Megan died, to let that individual just walk out of jail, I think is appalling. And, in cases like that, it just shocks the mind for the average person to think that that's okay.
Shocks the mind for an average person. That qualifier is carry a lot of weight here. The average person doesn't sit down and write a law that protects somebody in this particular situation. Mendoza Gonzalez went back to work at a local grocery store in the same community. Jennifer Bos had no updates, no contact, no idea if he was going to disappear before anybody stopped him. ICE arrested him in July 2025, 3 months after Megan's body was found. Not because Illinois moved. Federal agents came. They took him to Indiana because even then, Illinois, as a sanctuary state, refused to cooperate with anything involving federal immigration enforcement. And now, a full year after Megan was found, watch what Rep. Weber says about the sitting bill in Springfield.
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Megan's body being found, face down in a garbage can in this man's yard. And to think that we've had a year to make changes and yet nothing has been done.
He said face down in a garbage can on live television, you guys, because sometimes that's exactly the plainlessness, if you would, it takes for people to understand what they're defending when they defend these policies and these individuals. The Voice Office, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement, was created the first week of Trump's first term. Its job was to be a place in the federal government where families like Jennifer Bos could call in and get real answers. Where was the person being held? When are the hearings? How does the immigration piece work in this case? When do I need to show up? Biden shut it down June 11th, 2021. DHS Secretary Mayorkas, you guys remember Mayorkas, signed the order. Victim advocacy organizations didn't get a warning call about this. They got an email. Before I show you what Biden put in its place, watch how Mayorkas at the same press event where he read the notes about Lincoln Riley explain how sanctuary cities limit what the federal government can do when a dangerous person is in local custody.
There are a number of cities around the country that have varying degrees of cooperation with the immigration authorities. We firmly believe that We firmly believe that if a city is aware of an individual who poses a threat to public safety, then we would request that they provide us with that information so that we can ensure that that individual is detained if the facts so warrant.
Illinois determined that the facts around Mendoza Gonzalez didn't warrant it. Mayorkas built and defended that same system in the same building where a murdered woman's family got a press release. Watch the Fox News report from ICE headquarters the morning the 1-year anniversary ceremony was announced. Pay attention to that specific phrase.
ICE marking 1 year since it relaunched an office devoted to making sure that justice is served. And Bill Malusian is live at ICE headquarters in Washington, D.C. to give us this inside look. Bill, what you find out?
And Bill, good morning to you. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons is set to hold a press conference here later this morning where he's going to be joined by families who have lost loved ones at the hands of illegal aliens. Now, Director Lyons will be holding this press conference, as you said, to mark the 1-year anniversary of the relaunch of ICE's so-called voice office. President Biden scrapped it in 2021 immediately upon taking office.
Not budget review 6 months in. One of his first official acts was to shut down the federal office for families of victims of illegal alien crime. Now, chat, what Biden built in Voice's place is called VELS. V-E-S-L, the Victims Engagement and Services Line. And part of this call center was designed to allow people inside ICE detention to call and report mistreatment by ICE officers. He closed the federal office that served American families of victims of illegal alien crime. Then he opened up something that partially existed to protect illegal aliens from ICE. Not a mistake here, a message. Biden looked at what Jennifer Bos would become, a grieving mother with nobody to call, and made a deliberate decision about who deserves a phone number and who didn't.
When the perpetrator has a nexus to immigration, there's a whole nother level to this. And suddenly these victims who are trying to grieve are learning that perhaps the perpetrator is being transferred somewhere, different custody. Maybe some of their agencies involved. Maybe the federal government is involved. Suddenly they learn this person maybe is here illegally. They're turning to someone for answers. Local DAs don't understand the immigration issue at all. Local sheriffs maybe do, maybe don't.
These families are already in the worst pain in their lives, and they just got handed a second bureaucratic system that they never encountered before. And Biden removed that one bridge that existed to help them cross it. In sanctuary states, it gets worse. Jennifer Bos knew every move Mendoza Gonzalez made across state lines, not because Illinois communicated, not because Indiana called her. Watch her describe the moment Voice reached out.
Especially when he was free. When I kind of was standing there stunned, I did feel incredibly alone. And it was such a comfort to have them call me and say, you know, we're here for you. You tell us what you need and we'll figure it out. And that's what they did.
She didn't find them. They found her. And the first thing they said wasn't file this form or call this number. It was tell us what you need. And watch what that support looks like in actual practice, because this is the specific service Biden canceled when he shut down that office.
And they were able to track, they track for you where your perpetrator is in custody, because sometimes they do get moved. In our case, he had to go to Indiana because a sanctuary state won't hold them if it has anything to do with ICE. So he had to be taken out of state to Indiana. So I was, told when he went there, he was brought back for the detainment hearing when his charge increased.
So they let you know all of this so that you could travel to wherever you needed to be?
Correct.
2 states Every transfer, every court date, Jennifer knew Biden's VESL replacement was a hotline for complaints about ICE. It wasn't built to make a call to this woman. Trump signed the order to reopen Voice on day 79 of his second term. In the 12 months since, nearly 900 families called that line. 32% of those calls involved violent assault. 15% involve rape or sexual assault. 9% were homicides and manslaughters. 7% were families or partner violence situations. Every single one of those 900 calls was a family that had nowhere to go for 4 straight years. Every single one of them have been told through federal policy that their quote unquote grief ranked below the comfort of a person who called it. Watch acting ICE Director Todd Lyons at the anniversary ceremony. Look at who physically is standing in the room behind him when he says this.
And ICE officers and special agents are demonized, called Nazis, hated. There's violence against them. We do it for these individuals, these families who are no longer with their loved ones because they didn't get the justice they deserved. And that's the main reason why ICE and our law enforcement partners are out there, is so these angel families will finally get justice.
He said finally. It's one word that really lands. He said it in a room full of people that had been waiting for years, some of them even decades, for one person in the federal government to say it out loud. Patricia Fox lost her daughter. She was at the podium. She held herself together with everything she had to say this.
Thank you for the only justice and closure that my family will ever receive. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, DHS, and everybody that's here. I am inspired by the other angel families up here. And I pray that there is not another angel family that joins us. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. There are repercussions, and my family lives it every day. Thank you.
The only justice, not partial justice, not some of it, all of it, the entire closing chapter of her grief, everything that she'll ever get was that ceremony, that room, that moment. Biden closed the door that opened it. And then there was Marie. Her son was a Marine and a Border Patrol agent. He was at a family fishing spot in Texas when 2 illegal aliens with prior records jumped out of a stolen vehicle with guns trying to take their truck. Harvey was shot in the chest defending his family. His father was shot in the back. Marie grabbed Harvey's weapon and returned fire. The children survived. Harvey didn't.
President Trump, on behalf of my family and I, thank you for hosting this beautiful remembrance in honor of our loved ones who were killed by illegal aliens. Harvey was shot in the chest and killed. My husband, Javier Sr., was shot in the back. Remember, you all, children were there fishing with their friends, and they just kept shooting. You could hear the bullets just whizzing past you. Javier Sr. returned fire with his weapon, and I grabbed the AR that Harvey had attempted to defend us with, and I returned fire as well. Had we not fired back, they would have killed everyone there, including the children, so that there wouldn't be any witnesses. And they killed an amazing man, a loving and honorable dad and husband. Thank God we have you in office. Without you, America and the world would not know the consequences of open borders. Thank you for restoring law and order.
That ceremony, you guys, had hardly any, if not zero, media coverage from the lamestream media. Not one national anchor, not one camera from a major network. She's not speaking in parables or a metaphor. She means it exactly as it sounds. America, Jennifer Bos had been to Washington once before last week's ceremony. She stood in front of Trump at the Halt Fentanyl Act signing and told him everything. The garbage can, the bleach, the judge who let Mendoza Gonzalez walk out of that courtroom, all of it. Trump looked at her and said, "Watch what happens." She went back to Illinois. Months later, ICE showed up. She later wrote in the Washington Examiner that Trump is the first president in her lifetime, who seemed like he actually cares about angel families. She has been failed before by so many people. Pritzker signed the law that made all of this possible and has never once, not once, called her. The state legislator has sat in a reform bill for a full year. The national media sent 0 cameras to that ceremony. Biden closed the office that built something that served the other side. Trump reopened it. 900 families called in 12 months. Pritzker hasn't. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.